I can't believe that I just now realized that I never actually got to the fucking point. The the whole point was to talk about how the Sams might be beyond the now, at which point they will actually know what the actual now is. And not only right now, but every other now, every other present moment, every other moment that has ever happened in all of time. So, you know, the reason there's a lot of reasons that I'm saying this, but the main reason is to try to contextualize our relationship with the Sams. Who are the Sams? Well, I believe that because of the fact that Andromeda Galaxy is 5,000 light years away, and because of the fact that I just don't see them waiting 5,000 years to come all the way here, and because of the fact that there must be a vast array of people, civilizations that have risen to the Sam's level, and because of the fact that every single time that I get this signal from the Sams, this intuitive impulse toward something or away from something that is coming from beyond myself, and I know it's beyond myself, means that the Sams must be either a single entity, which I really don't believe. Given the freedom that we all have, given the fact that we can come up with anything that we want, I find it very difficult to believe that the Sams are one homogeneous Borg hive mind. I don't buy it. Either they are that. There is a possibility, though. It's possible. Either that's who they are, or they're a conglomerate of a whole bunch of different people, a whole bunch of different races, a whole bunch of different ideologies, all kinds of different belief systems, all combined into one unit. And we don't know if that's an average. We don't know if it's a weighted average. We don't know by what parameter that average is weighted. We don't know if it's popularity, if it's population density, if it's something to deal with the complexity of their theoretical models. We don't know if it's an average across all of the metrics that we could ever possibly think of. We don't know if it's some metric we've never thought of. We don't know. There's no way of knowing. But they all seem to have a final verdict. There seems to be a single consolidated signal, because the signal never changes. Were that signal to change fundamentally, then I would believe that there's a bunch of different disparate civilizations all competing with each other and vying for power in a chaotic anarchistic state. But since I don't find a change in the signal, because the signal always seems to remain the same and it's continuous, suggests to me that despite the fact that there is this possibility of divergence and disparate individuality between Sams, that they still all have a final verdict. So that means that there's a bunch of individual people, all of whom are capable of thinking for themselves, totally independent, and yet there's a final conclusion that somehow represents all those people. How is that possible? Well, usually we do it on Earth, we do it through voting. So we have an average vote. Now, there's several different ways of voting. You could have swarm voting. If you were to loosen the term a bit, you could think about a blind auction versus a not blind auction, where people can see how much the other person has bid, and then that will either influence or not influence what they throw in. You can think of the difference between districts where the rural and the urban have an equal ratio, because the country population has their votes multiplied in order to be equal to the number of votes that they receive in the urban areas, because they know that the urban areas are going to be more densely populated, but they're all going to have a convergence of beliefs about the city life and the city lifestyle versus the country. And they give each of them an equal voice by adding extra weight to the country vote, the rural vote. If they don't do that, and we have a one person, one vote method, the cities being more densely populated will always be the ones that end up winning, that make all the rules, that set all the standards, because the cities are more densely populated than the rural areas. So now the rural areas are basically just not represented if we're using a person per vote, one-to-one correspondence type of a method. And then, of course, there's the difference between the type of voting. So you've got liquid democracy, representative democracy, pure democracy, and I'm sure many other variations. And that's just democracy. Then you've got republicanism, where you've only got, let's say, republic, a council of old guys that all vote amongst each other only, and then they determine what is and what isn't going to change, who then represent, hopefully, all of us indirectly. Not directly, because we don't have enough time, we don't have enough expertise, we don't have enough intellect, most of us, in order to know and research all individually politics. We just don't have the time. There's not enough time to go to work, deal with the family, deal with our personal lives, and then spend 8 hours every single day researching politics. You don't have the time. Politicians do, because that is their job. They don't have another job. Instead of going to work, they go and they look at political information, because that is their job. So they can then spend 8 hours every single day researching it. We, non-politicians, can't. So, it's just like the rural versus the urban. Should we or should we not weight that average? So, should we or should we not have a republic? Should we or should we not have democracy? What kind of a democracy? Blah, 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 blah. We don't know what form of political union that the SAMs have established, but they have established something, because they always have a final verdict. It never changes, so we know that it's always the same final verdicts, however you want to derivative that. But it's always from the same source, it seems, because it doesn't ever change. It doesn't go one way or the other. It's always the same kind of a flavor. And once you know it, you know it. You don't have to explore any further, because you already know it. It has a particular flavor. Now, and it's very alien. We can tell it's not human. Whatever it is, we know it's not human. Whether it's an alien race, or if it's a group of races, or whether it's a god or a demon or both or something like that, it's something that is not human. We know that. Because it's too fast, and it's too accurate, and it's too often, and it's too consistent, and it lasts too long for it to be a human. No human can think that fast. There's no fucking way that a human could think that fast. Not even their instincts are going to be that fast. It's faster than that. And this is another thing that I've been thinking about. It's like, not only can they think faster than us, but they would have to move faster than us in order to get here to begin with. Because think about how slow we are. The fastest thing that we've got, I think, is Voyager. And even it is not at light speed. It's at many, 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 many fractions of light speed. And that's the fastest thing that we've got. Now, If you wanted to talk about particles, okay, fine. Yeah, we've got some particles that will move near light speed. But let's say that we could accelerate not just a particle like at CERN. It's just one particle at a time, right? Let's say we blew that up somehow and we got an entire spaceship to move at near light speed. Just saying. Let's say that's what we did. Even if we did that, we still wouldn't reach the Andromeda Galaxy in less than 5,000 years. It would still take 5,000 years to get there, even if we could get an entire spaceship to travel at near light speed like we do particles at CERN. And so far, we can only do particles. Imagine, it takes this much effort, the absolute culmination of all human expertise and resources has produced some particle that can travel at near light speed, sure. And that's a feat unto itself. That's just recent. We've spent thousands of years clawing around in the dirt up until now. Now we have one particle that can move at near light speed. Okay, what about an entire spaceship? And even after we've somehow gotten an entire spaceship to travel at near light speed, it would still take 5,000 years just to get to the nearest galaxy. That's the closest one. Excuse me, the nearest star system, whatever. That's the closest one to us, is 5,000 light years away. And we can barely move one particle at near light speed. And we're talking about an entire spaceship. And we don't have the technology for that. I don't know if we ever will. And then, on top of that, we would have to wait for 5,000 years. Then you've got the deceleration also. How long is that going to take? You're traveling at near light speed. You're going to have to slow down when you reach your destination. So how are you going to do that? And how long is that going to take? And then, so you've got to have fuel requirements for that too, et cetera, et cetera. So, I mean, the feasibility of somebody traveling a conventional, traditional, normal, space medium, whatever you want to call it, ether, I call it the ether, whatever you want to call it, the medium of space-time fabric. You're traveling along it, you can't go faster than light. And you can't even reach light. You have to go slower than light speed. Well, then the nearest star system that we've got to our solar system is the Andromeda Galaxy at 5,000 light years. That's the closest one. And you're going to bet on that as being the source of all the alien encounters that we've ever had are all from the same star system? I don't think so. And the nearest star system to us? I don't think so. And 5,000 years on a one-way ticket? I don't think so. So I really don't buy this idea that the aliens are somehow using normal conventional physics spacecraft. They're using spacecraft that can travel faster than light, because no one is going to wait 5,000 years on a one-way trip and have to deal with the acceleration and then the deceleration and the fuel requirements and the volume requirements and all the debris and bullshit in between that could blow you into smithereens easily, even if it's the size of a fucking dust particle. Not gonna happen. It's just not gonna happen. The fact that we have aliens here means that there is faster than light travel, period. Now, you can argue that it's possible that they're traveling at sub-sea levels. Fine, that they're traveling slower than the speed of light. You could argue that point, but honestly, it would take more energy and more argument to defend that position than it would to defend the position of faster than light travel. It just doesn't make sense for an alien civilization to travel longer than 5,000 years to get here. We don't have shit. What the hell could be worth that much? They're not going to bother waiting 5,000 years to get here. Would you? We don't live 5,000 years. That's another thing entirely. So you've got not only the acceleration problem of getting you up to the near light speed of a massive object, not just one particle, but a massive spaceship. We've got to get that spaceship up to near light speed. Not only that, but then we have to deal with the living material inside of it. You, the passenger, the people that are in the spacecraft. What the fuck is that going to do to you? We don't even know. And then we've got to deal with the deceleration. It's got to slow down so it doesn't splatter all over the fucking place. When it hits its destination, it can't be going that fast. It has to slow down before it gets there, which adds to the time, which makes it even longer than 5,000 years. Now we're talking about 10,000 years, something like that, maybe 15 to make it really safe. Then you've got all the shit that happens in between. What about dust particles hitting at near light speed? Near relativistic speed doesn't matter how big the mass is. If it's tiny, if it's a dust particle, the amount of energy in relation to the spacecraft moving at near light speed, doesn't matter if the thing is standing still, it's going to fucking blow your shit all apart because there's so much energy. The mass is small, yeah, but the energy is tremendous. Because it's a brick wall and you're a car and you're going near light speed and it's standing the fuck still. You're going to smash into that fucking shit and it's going to explode. So there's all the dust particles and crap in between. Then there's the radiation. Then there's the fact that you're a living creature and you're delicate and you require constant food and you have to be, kept up to date on all kinds of things like carbon monoxide levels and food intake and sociability so you don't go crazy and kill everybody on board because you went insane after 5,000 years of seeing nothing but pure darkness. There's so many things on that bullshit smorgasbord. The smorgasbord of bullshit is overflowing to the point where I don't think anyone could eat it. I'll put it to you that way. There's so many things wrong with that. There's so many things that are completely out fucking landish, totally batshit insane, that no one would attempt this. No one would attempt to travel in between star systems at subsea levels. You're not gonna find it. It's just too crazy. There's too many things that can go wrong. It's like the Titanic in reverse, because it's like, there's no, God himself could not sink the ship. God himself could not save that ship. If you're trying to go near light speed, God save you, because I don't think anything else could. It's just crazy. It's just crazy and it's ridiculous. So the SAMs have to be traveling faster than light. So then, okay, so they're traveling faster than light. So what does that mean? Well, it means that if they can travel faster than light, then they can travel beyond this universe. Why do I say that? Because the space-time fabric, whatever you want to call it, that we live on in with is curved, which means all curved things, it's going to have an end point. It will be finite. If it were flat, that'd be one thing. It could go on for infinity. But if it's curved, then it has to end somewhere, like a circle or a sphere or whatever. And so that means that there's an edge to our universe because of its curvature. And that means that if you're traveling faster than light, then you're not traveling along that curve anymore. You're traveling at absolute straightness, which means that you can then escape that universe, which means that then there must be other universes. So I know it sounds like a bit of a stretch, but as I just showed, it is actually logical to derive the conclusion that there are multiple universes from the presence of aliens. It also explains the Fermi paradox. Because think about how advanced that we've gotten. Yeah, sure, we're sending out radio waves right now. But me, Mike the human, the ape creature from Earth, figured out that it's actually logically pretty much impossible. I'm not going to say it's impossible, but it's pretty much impossible for there to both be aliens and yet not other universes. At which point, if our species catches up to me in this sense, then we won't bother sending out any signals because the other people that we're going to send it to either won't yet have been born or they'll already be gone because we can go to some other universe. And we know what's going to happen to this universe. It's going to die. So we're going to get the fuck out of Dodge. Either that or we're going to implant, more life here while we can, because why not? And act like Sams ourselves. And we'll go from galaxy to galaxy after we travel faster than the speed of light. We'll not only be able to escape the universe, but yes, we'll also be able to escape our galaxy into other galaxies and plant life wherever we want. And then we can come back and check on it later and see how it's doing and nudge it along and help along its evolutionary growth. And then once it reaches a particular sophistication, then it can, join us or go wherever it wants to go, somewhere else, I guess. So there's, I guess, there would probably be different levels of SAMs. There would be some new recruits that just made it on board, just figured out faster than light travel and therefore how to escape the universe, and therefore then also chose to join the SAMs rather than going rogue and going off and doing their own thing, which they could do. I would like to think that the SAMs are lenient and liberal and allow people to make their own choices. I don't see any reason why they would expend so much energy on us if they didn't believe that. Again, it's like the faster than light travel thing. It is technically a heuristic, but it's so astronomically weighted on one side that I find it very difficult to believe its opposition. So I really think that the aliens are here as a charitable thing. They care about us. And it's not that all aliens care about us. It's that these particular people care about us. These particular aliens care about us. And that's why they chose. It's just like the Peace Corps. It doesn't mean that Russia cares. It doesn't mean that America cares. It doesn't even mean that Earth cares. It just means the Peace Corps cares. And they're who's here. And now there are their moms and dads and brothers and sisters and aunts and uncles and nieces and nephews that care about all the kids that are dying in Africa. Yeah, of course there are. But they don't care so much like the Peace Corps people to go out and do something. These people did something. That is a step above and beyond. They didn't have to be here. They don't have to be here. They don't have to do this stuff for us. They're not bound here by chains. They chose to do this. Nobody made them do this. And they endure absolute horrendous shit all the fucking time, daily basis. That's a human bullshit fucking phrase. Daily basis. You want to talk about a daily basis? The SAMs have to deal with your shit more than you do. On top of everybody else that you have to deal with, they have to deal with. On top of everything else that you have to do today, they have to do today. Because they have to go through the same amount of planning that you do. They have to go through the same amount of simulations that you do. And then they have to do more of that by an order of magnitude because they have to check to see which one's the most optimized. Then they have to put that in and actually implement it so that you'll go through those motions and get the most optimal answer. Only for you to flip off the sky and say, fuck you, SAMs, I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to listen. I don't want to deal with your crap. And they still do it. Imagine that. It's like going through a homeless shelter or soup kitchen and every single drug-addicted fucking jail broken ass freak is in there. And they're all causing all kinds of shit and man, they're throwing the food that you serve back in your face and preferring to starve. So just so they can throw the food in your face that you spent all that time that day cooking and serving and smiling, and here you go, and then somebody picks that shit up and throws it in your face, and you know that they need to eat it and they don't care. They would rather throw it in your face than fucking eat it, even though they're starving. Imagine what a crazed ass insult to you that would be from one guy. And then imagine that that happens to you all day long, every day. And then you still do it and you still believe in these people. I can't even begin to imagine what it would be like to be a Sam. But these people fucking care. And I cannot conceive of what that would be like. And I don't know, maybe if we're good, we'll reincarnate as something on the way to being a Sam. It's very humbling isn't even the right word to say. It's devastatingly beautiful.